Hello everyone. Welcome to this meditation for relaxation series from the Tibetan Buddhist Society. This is the fifth and last class in this series. The format for these classes is first I'll do a talk to give you an overall explanation and some tools for relaxation. We'll do some guided meditations and then have time for questions at the end using the chat. So in this series, we've been looking at how to be more relaxed, more peaceful, and more settled. And we need this for our well-being. From a Buddhist perspective, the best relaxation comes from meditating. The result of meditation is called calm abiding. And this means abiding in the present with stability and calmness. It's a flexible mind in that it can focus on anything that you choose to focus on without becoming distracted. And this is the most relaxed experience. Then as you practice meditation, you get more and more relaxed. You feel relaxed after your meditation sessions. And also your ability to meditate develops step by step. You get moments in which you feel totally relaxed and in the flow. So seeing the possibility of that state from the glimpses that we get when we meditate, this helps us to understand the direction that we're heading in. So calm abiding is a relaxed, clear, and undisturbed state, like a still dawn. The abiding aspect means there's more stability. The distractions are not too dominating and they don't stay for a very long time. With practice, calmness and abiding become stronger for you. So with each meditation session, you get a bit more progress. Then also, as you practice, the meditation starts to permeate your mind. So this means you have more awareness, you're being more settled, you're being focused, you're being relaxed, and this becomes more of who you are. So you aren't doing meditation, you become more meditative. So in this series, we've done some meditations to create calmness and abiding. The essential instructions on developing calm abiding are first, we place the mind, meaning you direct your mind to the thing that you are meditating on. For example, you might want to meditate on the breath, or you might want to meditate on a mind like compassion, or it could be a visualization meditation. So you place your mind on this object of your meditation. And you completely relax when you do this, with no expectation, while you are also keeping alert. Now, this is a new skill of balancing your mind. So when you forget the thing that you're meditating on, or you get distracted, you gently bring your mind back. If you are agitated or distracted or busy, then you don't struggle with it, but you pacify your mind. For example, by thinking about impermanence, how things are always changing. If you become sleepy or dull, then you lift your mind with energizing contemplations. For example, reflecting on having appreciation for the situation that you're in, the fortunate situation that you're in. So by making meditation a part of your life so that you do it regularly and consistently means that you will progress in your development of your calmness, your abiding, your concentration. Then in addition to meditation, I've talked about mindsets and ways of thinking. You can't become deeply relaxed if you meditate, but your way of thinking and living creates a lot of stress and a lot of agitation. So with meditation, remember, you hold off focus on the present moment more. The thing you're meditating on is here and now. That aspect is mindfulness. So then you take that mindfulness into your life. So you are present to what is going on, both within and outside of you in the present moment. So then it's through this mindfulness that you become aware of any unproductive and unhealthy attitudes, and you can choose different approaches. So, for example, many of us lack love and compassion for ourselves. We have an internal critic that blames us, or we're harsh with ourselves. Also, the way you think about past and future affects you. So, in relation to the future, if you focus on the worst possible outcome, then it stresses you. When you think about the past, if you have a lot of regret or think about the past negatively, this is an obstacle to your happiness and an obstacle to be able to sit in meditation comfortably. Then in this series, we've also explored and meditated on 3 states of mind that you can deliberately choose to make a part of your life, and they will influence your experience in life. And these states that we looked at are contentment, kindness, and generosity. Contentment is a mindset of thinking, I have enough. I am enough. This situation is enough. It's not giving up on goals and aspirations, but just having a sense of, in this moment, I can relax. Everything is okay. Then kindness is a basic attitude to others and to relationships. Essentially, you'll try to wish others well, try to be warm-hearted. So it's the opposite of being hateful, being negative, being jealous, and so on. Then generosity is kindness in action. It's an open-hearted approach where you try to support and help others wherever you can. So these 3 states help you to be more at peace with your own life. And they also reduce tensions that you might have with the people around you. So by making changes, you can be more settled in the way that you live. We've also reflected on the opportunity to live with more appreciation, because with an attitude and a feeling of appreciation, you stress less. If you appreciate your life and see its potential, then you are more relaxed. We saw that a barrier to having a contented, appreciative mind are the 8 worldly concerns. I talked about these to help you to be aware of them, so you can see how they are affecting you, and you want to try and minimize them when you see them occurring. So the 8 worldly concerns disturb your mind, and they stop you from being truly relaxed. And the 8 worldly concerns involved getting very excited at having wealth and possessions, excited at wanting praise, excited at having a very good reputation, excited about sense pleasures. Now, it is easy to enjoy these things, but the flip side is that we feel, if we are strongly attracted to these 8 worldly things, we feel so down when we have loss of our wealth or possessions. We feel down when we are criticized. We feel down when we lose our reputation, or when we have experienced unpleasant sensations. So if you are too involved in these things, then your life is a seesaw where you're trying to control everything, so you only have more wealth, more pleasure, more praise, and so on. It makes you busy, and you chase these experiences. The alternative to being so obsessed with these 8 worldly concerns is to have a degree of equanimity towards these concerns. So this is a more realistic view of the limitations and the benefits of these 8 worldly concerns. If you feel equanimity in your heart, then you will relax more. And if you're relaxed, you will feel happier. And it will be easier to settle and to meditate. So with this wisdom then, your mind is freer from the anxieties and frustrations of this life. So these are the things that we've covered in the last few weeks. There's one more state of mind that I'd like to talk about today that you need to strengthen to help you to be truly settled and relaxed. This state of mind helps you to have a stronger, more stable and calm approach to the problems that you will definitely encounter in your life. This state of mind that we need to strengthen is patience or fortitude. This is an important mind to develop and strengthen because we are all faced with challenges and difficulties. So we need to know how to keep our minds stable and strong in the face of these difficulties and not to feel daunted or agitated or angry. The way to do this is to strengthen your patience. So what is patience? So it's a mind that remains undisturbed in the face of suffering or difficulty or discomfort. So with patience or fortitude, you don't retaliate or react to harm or to pain or to difficulties. And you can also voluntarily endure suffering. So this means you take on difficult or uncomfortable things for a higher purpose. So for example, you might choose to do a retreat, which is great for your meditation, but you are able to put up with pain in your body, sore legs, sore back. So when you have strong patience or fortitude, then you can remain content, calm, peaceful, and strong, regardless of what's happening around you. So we can't overcome all harmful people or problems. It's not possible. But if we just pacify our own uncontrolled mind, this is the practice of patience or fortitude. And if we can do this, this is the same as controlling all harmful people and all difficulties. Because patience and fortitude protects your mind from being disturbed by harm and difficulties. In essence, it's a stable mind that doesn't get upset. But it's not to say that your mind is like a rock or you put up a resistance. Instead, patience or fortitude, it's a relaxed mind. You're just not bothered by the irritant, by the difficulty. And there are many reasons for cultivating and strengthening your patience and fortitude. So when you train in patience, your mind starts to become free of strong agitation. And there's a peaceful attitude which makes us and others happy. Our patience supports our wisdom. When we have patience, it gives a chance for our wisdom to come to the fore. We can make more balanced, more rational decisions. But when we talk about patience, some people think it implies being weak or passive or letting people walk all over you or take advantage of you. That's not what we mean by patience. So this is why I also use the term fortitude, because it captures in some ways what we're trying to do here. With patience or fortitude, if someone is doing something wrong, we're still able to remain calm, stable, and have enough space to work out the best thing to do at that time, the best response at that time. Should we do something or say something at that moment? Or should we wait till the person's calmed down? In that situation, do we need to be forceful to best make the point? You can be forceful without being angry. Or would being more gentle in that case be more effective? So responding with patience or fortitude in that difficulty allows you the mental space and the strength and the wisdom to work out the best thing to do in the circumstances without being driven by your own reactions, which could be irritated or angry. So patience here is very active, it's very intelligent, it's very open. It's a very stable, very strong mind. It's unshakable. It's like no matter what is happening, you can still remain calm, peaceful, even happy when you have patience and fortitude. So if we can respond to difficulties with patience, then we are able to keep being peaceful, we're able to behave rationally. A person who has good patience is able to attract friends, has good personal relationships, good relationships in their work. If you're able to remain calm when someone's angry, you can help that person to relax and to calm down. Your peaceful attitude affects those around you, making them more relaxed and happy. So how do we go about strengthening our patience and fortitude? So we do this by first practicing patience with small problems. Then, by getting used to being patient with small things, then we can be patient with bigger and bigger problems, bigger and bigger difficulties. So we practice it step by step, starting with small difficulties. Then we can increase our capacity to be patient with major problems, like if we get really sick or we lose our job or our income. And everything is made easier through practicing. So, for example, if you reflect on when you first learned how to drive, in the beginning it was so complicated. You had to think of so many things all at the same time. You had to really concentrate to learn when you were learning how to drive. And then through practice, you became better and better at it. It became more and more automatic. And now you can drive without even thinking about it. So this is just through practice. So the more we practice through having patience for small problems, the easier it becomes. So then what we're trying to do is to widen our tolerance, starting with small difficulties, then increasing our capacity. And we need to cultivate this strength. We need to strengthen, our mind of patience and fortitude, because we can never remove all external irritations and difficulties. We can never make the world perfect, exactly to how we want it. We can never get people to do exactly what we want. It's just not possible. So the only thing we can do is to change our response to difficulties. So how we practice patience is there are two types of patience. The first is the patience that's undisturbed by the harm that's inflicted by others. So this is the patience of not retaliating. So here we can tolerate harm without angrily striking back. So how we cultivate this type of patience is first, we can think when others are harming you, think they are under the influence of a negative mind. So actually they are tense, they are suffering at the moment because they are under the influence of a negative mind. So really, they are the object of our compassion. So we try to respond to this person with patience, with compassion, and we try to pacify their mind. We try to eliminate their anger, their delusion, which is the cause of their negative behavior. Then we can reflect that they are driven by their negative minds. They're propelled by their anger and their negative minds without choice, because they are responding habitually. And the source of the harm is this negative mind, not so much the person, because they are being controlled by their negative mind. So if we can reflect like this, then this helps to calm our own response. It helps us to respond with fortitude, with patience. Then we can also reflect that really we shouldn't be surprised when others harm us. The nature of people who are not really evolved is to have negative minds. It's natural for people who are influenced by delusions to hurt others while they are being controlled by the negative mind. So if we can reflect like this, this can help us to be a bit more patient. So this is the first type of patience and how to cultivate it. It's the patience of being undisturbed by the harm inflicted by others, the patience of not retaliating. The second type of patience is the patience of voluntarily enduring suffering. So this is the capacity to take on any difficulty and turn it into part of your personal development or part of your spiritual path. So instead of being overwhelmed and consumed by the suffering that we're experiencing, with this type of patience, difficult experiences can be used to make progress, to remove suffering. So here, the problems are used as a method to lessen and remove our negative minds and the suffering that we experience from them. So we're having an attitude here of willing to bear small harms, and through acquaintance, we can tolerate greater difficulties, because there's nothing that we cannot cope with through patience and fortitude. Because any difficulty or problem has two possibilities. First possibility, there's a solution to the problem and it can be remedied. So if that's the case, then we don't need to worry and stress about it. We just need to set about doing what's necessary to resolve it. We respond to the situation, but we don't have a tension or a stress about it because we can do something about it. The second possibility is there's no solution to the problem. We've checked carefully, we've consulted some people, there's actually nothing to be done in this situation. So if there's nothing to be done about it, then there's no point in being worried or anxious or fearful. We just strengthen our resolve to patiently accept the situation. Because there's nothing you can do. Worrying won't help it. We just accept the reality of the situation. So by applying this analysis, every difficulty can be reduced and not be stressed by it. But this takes some practice. It's not so easy at first because we have a habit of worrying and stressing. So we need to practice this step by step. Then we need to realize that a state of mind, which is the opposite of patience, which we need to look out for, is the mind of anger or hatred. Anger or hatred is an agitated state of mind which sees something as unattractive, exaggerates the unattractiveness or the faults of others. This makes us antagonistic and we wish to harm them. So we use this term anger in this particular way in Buddhism. So we're agitated, our responses are uncontrolled, we exaggerate the faults. So we focus on someone's faults, on the difficulties, on the irritations, and we exaggerate it. Then there's an aspect of wanting to harm. We want to hurt back, we want to retaliate. And anger here covers the whole range from slight irritation to annoyance, to being critical, being hostile, belligerence, rage, all these things come under anger. Now, what happens when we're angry? We're not happy. There's no joy, there's no peace. We're not in control because our anger controls our actions and our words, usually in a harmful way. It's the opposite of peace, relaxation, and happiness. So if we can lessen and eventually remove our anger, this allows us to have greater peace and greater happiness. And how anger comes about is you feel hurt yourself for some reason. This is the basis of our anger. You feel some internal pain. This causes you to retaliate with anger. So really the problem is your mental reaction, not so much the other person. Our usual reaction is we blame the other person. We see their faults, we blame them, we focus on it. Then we do something to hurt them, or we say something hurtful. But we need to realize that we will always face difficulties. We don't live in a perfect environment. We cannot control the external situation. We cannot remove every single irritation or difficulty. We will definitely encounter difficult, hurtful situations, discomfort. The problem with responding to these situations with anger is it's so destructive. There's so many huge negative results from anger. We have no peace, we are unhappy. It's bad for us physically. It can raise our blood pressure. Mentally, we're agitated. Our responses are reactive and out of control. We're irrational. We lose our capacity for good judgment. We do things we would normally never do when we're calm and rational. Then after an angry outburst, we feel foolish. We feel embarrassed. We feel regret. Because, when we're angry, we hurt people, we say hurtful things, we do harmful things to people, even those that we care for. So anger causes endless suffering. We hurt someone through anger, they become angry, they retaliate, increases your anger, and you respond more angrily. So, in this way, our anger just increases the hatred of others. And we see countries get caught up in anger, and this anger goes on for decades. Anger also causes isolation and loneliness. We don't like to be around people who are angry or bad-tempered. And if we are angry, we can lose friends or family or even our job. So anytime we have anger, this increases our unhappiness. Some people might say there's justified anger, or we need anger to motivate us to right something that's wrong. But really a more useful response is compassion and wisdom. From compassion and wisdom, we can do what's best for someone who's being mistreated, for example. We can be more effective because we're clearer. We don't have anger distorting our judgment. So we need to really check to see whether anger actually brings the result that we want. And anger is actually more harmful for us than for other people. It's likened to you drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. It's actually harming you more than the other person. So meditation helps us to overcome our anger. And how this works is in a couple of ways. Because anger is an agitated state, if we practice single-pointed concentration in our meditation, then our mind becomes more calm. We lose our agitation. We become more peaceful, more relaxed, more clear. And it's difficult for anger to arise if you are feeling peaceful and relaxed. So developing your single-pointed concentration helps you to remove your anger by removing the base of the mental agitation. The second method for overcoming anger is to cultivate the states of mind which are the opposite of anger, mainly the mind of patience. So we use analytical meditation to get a clear understanding of the mind of patience, and then generating it strongly, being clear on it and generating it strongly, and then concentrating on that so that we become really familiar with the mind of patience and fortitude. And our mind really becomes conditioned by that. Other minds which help oppose anger are, for example, the mind of love. Love is wishing someone to have happiness. So by increasing that mind of love helps us to lessen our anger. So patience then is a necessary mind for us to lessen our anger or our hatred, which causes us so many problems and which actually disturbs our sense of peace and our sense of calm. Cultivating our patience or fortitude also allows us to deliberately bear suffering. If we can bear suffering without getting upset, then we can be less anxious. Because if we have a greater capacity to bear suffering, then we have less fear and less stress. If we knew that whatever difficulties come, we can bear the suffering, then we won't be so fearful or we won't stress so much. We'll have an attitude of whatever comes, I can deal with it. The Buddha taught many different methods that we can use when we face hostility from other people and when we face problematic situations. So we can recognize those situations when someone is harming us or experiencing some difficulty. We can think, this is actually an opportunity for me to develop qualities that I can't develop in other situations. So if we can hold that view, then something positive comes out so that we can transform a bad circumstance or a difficult situation into a path to having a more enlightened mind. So this type of patience of voluntarily enduring suffering is a way to transform our experiences. And we need to apply this patience of voluntarily enduring suffering to our meditation practice. For example, if we have problems with sitting cross-legged, we get sore knees or sore back, we need to be patient with this. Also, when we first start meditating, we can be shocked by the extent of our mental agitation, by our distraction, by our limited capacity to actually place our mind on one object. We can be shocked by the negative minds that we start to see. So in that situation, we need to be patient with that, to persevere with our practice rather than become discouraged and give up. If you're able to be patient and persevere with your meditation practice, then step by step, you will see improvements. You will definitely gain wisdoms and insights. So we don't want to allow any difficulties in our meditation practice to discourage us. Not to say we have to have like a grit our teeth and bear it approach to meditation. We want to approach our meditation practice with some level of enjoyment. And sometimes, if we're feeling a bit disheartened, it's best to relax and rest and then come back to your meditation with new enthusiasm. So we can use this approach of, voluntarily enduring difficulties more widely. And if we can use it more widely in our lives, we can radically shift our attitudes to the events in our life so that troubles and sufferings and irritations, the things that we normally consider to be misfortunes, can actually be changed. So we don't regard them as essentially harmful or undesirable. So in fact, our experience of difficulties, of troubles and so on, can be changed so we don't regard them as essentially harmful or undesirable. And how we do this is we prepare ourselves with thinking about things before misfortune even arises. So by understanding the spiritual transformation that difficulties can bring, we start to develop an inner courage. And how we do this is by having an attitude of using all our experiences as part of our development. And this is called transforming adverse or difficult conditions into the path of our personal and spiritual development. So in your day-to-day life, and also when you're practicing the spiritual path, you will encounter various external and internal hindrances. And these could cause you to be unhappy. They can cause you to lose your peace of mind and possibly your spiritual practice altogether. But if you use these mind training methods, you can take those bad conditions and you can change your experience of difficulties and use them for your practice as part of your development. So if you can do this, then you don't lose the continuity or the energy of your practice, whether conditions are difficult or whether they're conducive for practice. So, for example, we use difficult circumstances and difficult people to develop our patience and fortitude. So how you can do this is when you have difficulties, think, here's an opportunity to practice patience and fortitude and to transform my normal suffering experience. So we want to have an attitude of being willing to bear small harms, and through acquaintance, you'll be able to tolerate greater difficulties. Because as I said, there's nothing that you cannot cope with through patience and fortitude. Another method is by remembering impermanence. So if you're going through a difficulty that involves a change, for example, if you're going through a breakup in a relationship, or you lose your job, or maybe you're even experiencing a lot of changes and uncertainty in your life or in your job, Our normal response is to feel a sense of shock. We get depressed, we get down, or we get angry. But if we can, at that time, if we can remember impermanence, impermanence is the fact that all products are subject to change. So products are those things that are created by causes and conditions. So it could be objects like, for example, a chair. A chair is made up of a whole lot of causes and conditions coming together to make this thing that we call a chair. Subject to change means it's actually changing moment by moment. So even though a chair looks like it's permanent, subtly we understand that it's changing moment by moment. Eventually it will disintegrate, it will finish. So products are impermanent. For example, objects like houses and cars and chairs. Also situations are products. For example, our job is a product because it depends on causes and conditions. Our relationships are products, they depend on causes and conditions. People are products, they depend on causes and conditions. So all these products are impermanent. So we apply this term impermanence to any phenomena which has the characteristic of it's changing moment by moment and eventually it will finish. Now, this is common sense. When we think about it, this makes sense to us intellectually, that things, that are created by causes and conditions change moment by moment, eventually will finish. However, emotionally and intuitively, we don't truly recognize the impermanence of things because we cling to things and we relate to things as if they are permanent. And we can see this clinging to permanence because we feel a sense of shock and upset when things change. And this indicates to us that we are clinging to a sense of permanence. We resist change. We suffer when we have a loss. So this indicates to us we are not accepting impermanence or not truly seeing impermanence. But if we actually recognize impermanence and we meditate on or remember this leads us to having a more realistic perspective. We are more open, we're more dynamic because we're not living in denial. We are accepting reality, that products change moment by moment, eventually will finish. So when we are experiencing a difficulty, if we can at that time remember that it's the nature of things to be impermanent, to not stay the same always, then we can think, I can adjust accordingly. So if we can do this, then we change our feeling of being out of control and helpless to being more relaxed, to being more open, to having a more flexible mind. So if we can do this in the face of difficulties, remember their impermanence, this helps us to accept and respond to these challenges in our life in a more realistic, in a more relaxed way. Then we can also use the difficulties that we face as a way of increasing our compassion for others. When we encounter problems, for example, if we get sick, normally we feel sorry for ourselves, we feel down. Instead, we can think of the countless other people who are also experiencing the suffering of sickness and sufferings of every kind, often much more severe than ours. So if we can do this, in this way, our experience of suffering, of sickness, will cause the mind of compassion, the wish for others to be free from their suffering, to arise in us. When we are sick, we can see what others also experience. So we can think, I'm experiencing this suffering of sickness. Others also are experiencing suffering like this and worse. So just as I wish to be free of this suffering of sickness, so I also wish that all others who are sick be free of their suffering of sickness. So if when we generate this thought of compassion for others, wishing for them to be free of their suffering, this then naturally reduces our own suffering. And this is because it reduces our self-obsession. And therefore, it reduces our tension. And reducing our tension is reducing our suffering. So if we can do this, we are actually increasing our positive mind of compassion. And positive minds are, in fact, happy minds. So when we do this, instead of feeling more suffering and more tension, by generating compassion for others, we are increasing our happiness by generating a positive mind. Because we have a fear of suffering. We fear we're going to suffer. We anticipate suffering, and so we fear it. And then when we do have suffering, we have an aversion to that suffering. And the aversion just amplifies the difficulty of it. And then, because it amplifies it, so we fear it. So we have a lot of tension and stress around our fear of suffering. But if we decide to practice transforming difficult conditions as part of our development, then we start to reduce this fear of suffering. And because of this, we become more relaxed and more calm. So what we're trying to do here is to reverse the thought of dislike for suffering. Because when our mind is disturbed by this, our courage is overcome by anxiety. It's really difficult to transform, suffering and transform difficult conditions into the path of our personal and spiritual development. But when we do start to decide we're going to transform difficult situations into the path of our development, then we're starting to reduce our anxiety. We're going from more anxiety to less and less anxiety. And we start to replace this anxiety by calmness, by relaxation, by joy even. So by training and transforming suffering and difficult conditions into the path of our personal development, what we're doing is we're increasing our capacity for peacefulness, for relaxation, for happiness. Because by deciding to transform suffering into the path of our practice, what we're doing is we're increasing our practice of our positive minds. Positive minds are the minds that bring us happiness. So the more we strengthen this, the more happy we are, the more calm we are, the more relaxed we are. So by strengthening them, we become more and more happy and more joyful. And we start with in small ways, accepting small events and transforming small instances of difficulties, like when you have a headache, starting by having compassion for others who have a headache also, having patience with the pain of the headache. So then, by starting in these small ways and then gradually training our mind, we are able to deal with bigger and bigger sufferings. So by practicing transforming difficult conditions into the path of our development, our practice now is starting to really transform our day-to-day life. We are then starting to make our experience of our conditions happier experiences. And there's a real stability from doing this practice. There's a joy of, we have the confidence of knowing we have a practice to overcome problems. It's not going to stop the problems from happening, but it stops the problems from upsetting us. That's the main thing. Your mind remains calm and stable. There can be physical suffering, there can be mental suffering, but your underlying mental consciousness can transform it and you can remain calm. It won't stop the problem, but you can maintain a calm, stable, strong mind in the face of it. So what we're trying to achieve with all these insights and meditations that we've been doing over the last few weeks is to help us be more peaceful, more relaxed, and truly joyful. We're trying to keep a calm, relaxed, and happy frame of mind no matter what external circumstances are, whether they're good or bad. So we want to develop an attitude that the present circumstances, no matter what they are actually ideal for our well-being and for our spiritual practice. We can see that any event that happens is an opportunity for some part of your personal and spiritual growth. And in fact, each moment is perfect for practice. And in fact, may provide us with the opportunity to cultivate more wisdom, more compassion, more stability, more equanimity, and more patience. Okay, so let's do some meditation now. And we'll do a meditation on how to strengthen our mind of patience. And then we'll do a meditation on how, in which we practice how to transform difficult conditions into path of our practice of our personal and spiritual development. Okay, so to begin, sit cross-legged on a cushion or however comfortably on a cushion, or you can sit on a chair. Main thing is keep an upright, straight spine. Your head should be slightly bent forward, not too much. Place your right hand over your left, your thumbs just touching, and then resting in your lap. Your head should be slightly bent forward, not too much. Your eyes should be half closed and loosely focused. If you find this too difficult, then you can close your eyes or just have them very slightly open. Your mouth is closed and your jaw is relaxed. We start our meditation by developing a positive intention. You can do this by thinking, through this practice of meditation, may I achieve happiness, enjoyment, good conditions, and a calm, peaceful, relaxed mind. I wish the same for all others. May everyone else also have happiness, enjoyment, good conditions, and a calm, peaceful, relaxed mind. So first settle the mind with a few moments of breathing meditation. So bring your attention inwards and allow your mind to settle single-pointedly on the rising and falling of your breath. Breathe naturally, don't force your breath in any way, but just place your attention on the process of breathing. Sensation of the breath as it passes through your nose, slight movement of your chest and stomach. So bring your attention inwards and let go of all other sights, sounds, and sensations. Let go of all your problems, your worries. Think just for the moment, you can let them all go and just focus on the breath. Let go of all memories of the past, plans for the future. Let go of all thoughts of other people, your business, your work, and so on. Just for the moment, all you need to do is breathe naturally and place your attention on that process. Feel your mind start to settle and become still, like a very deep, tranquil lake. And we do a meditation to generate and strengthen our mind of patience and fortitude. Remember, patience is a positive, virtuous state of mind that's able to bear any harm or suffering or difficulty with calmness without being disturbed. So generate the mind of patience by remembering, bringing to mind a situation where you didn't get irritated. You had some tolerance to pain or to difficulty. You're experiencing some pain, some difficulty, but you managed to keep your mind calm, peaceful, in the face of that difficulty. Someone might have been hurting you, being very difficult. It could have been a child. Because you have love for them, you knew that they were suffering or in pain, so you were able to be patient in the face of their anger or harshness. You were able to keep calm, stable and strong in the face of this difficulty. Bring to mind a situation, recollect, generate again this mind of patience that you had in that situation. When you've generated that feeling of patience strongly, and stabilize your concentration on that feeling. Hold that feeling of patience single-pointedly. Then, having a sense of this feeling of patience, apply that mind of patience to a situation which usually slightly irritates you. Think of a situation where you normally get a little bit irritated. This time now, apply that mind of patience to that situation. So think, now you have a mind of calm, strength, stability, patience for that situation. Then apply that mind of patience to a slightly more difficult situation. Maybe there's a person who irritates you a little bit, annoys you a little. Now, when you think of this person, your response to them is patience. You remain calm, stable, peaceful, strong when you reflect on that person. Your response now to that person is patience. Then make a determination to continue to practice patience and fortitude no matter what situation you're in. And hold this determination to practice patience single-pointedly. Then we practice how to transform difficult conditions into a path of our personal development or spiritual development. So to do this, bring to mind a difficult situation that you've experienced. It could be an illness, could be some relationship problem or family problem. reflect on a difficulty that you've experienced. Bring it to mind. Think of how you felt. Usually we feel a sense of shock, agitation, tension, maybe anger, maybe you felt helpless, maybe you felt down. Now, you try to change that response. And when you think of that situation, your response to it now is, this is an opportunity for me to practice patience. Patience is the ability to bear harm with strength and stability. To keep our mind peaceful, stable, and strong. So now when you think of that difficult situation, apply the mind of patience to that difficulty, and you remain calm, relaxed, peaceful, stable and strong in that situation. Then you can reflect on impermanence. The nature of products is that they are changeable. They are changing moment by moment. Eventually they will finish. So I have to expect things to change. Nothing is going to last forever. So this difficulty is evidence of that. Things change. It's the nature of things to be impermanent, not to stay the same always. So I will adjust accordingly. Bring this acceptance of impermanence to that difficulty, that situation. You can also reflect that that difficulty itself is impermanent. It won't last forever. It will change. Because I know it will change, it won't last forever, I can bear it. I can tolerate it because it is impermanent. then you can think that your suffering, your pain, your difficulties are an opportunity to develop compassion. Compassion is the wish for others to be free of their suffering. So when you reflect on this difficulty, this pain, this suffering, you can use this to remember the suffering of others. Then you can generate the thought, I want to be free of this suffering. So I also wish for others to be free of their suffering. When you generate this thought, it reduces your experience of suffering because it reduces your tension. And finally, check how you're feeling now in the face of that difficulty. Maybe you feel more calm, more relaxed, more flexible, more open, stronger in the face of this difficulty. Okay, so from where we are today, how do we actually practice? And I've been saying we practice gradually. We practice the subject step by step. So meditate a little each day on the subjects that we've covered. And if you do this, this will help you to be more settled, more calm, more relaxed. In between meditation sessions, try to cultivate the positive minds and the positive habits, and try to have an attitude of using any situation that you're in as part of your development of your positive minds, whether they're pleasant situations or difficult situations. Have an attitude of, I will use this as an opportunity as part of my development. Okay, so this is the last class in this series. I think our next meditation series will be in the new year. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can ask them using the chat. Thanks, Chris. I'm glad you've enjoyed the class. It's been my pleasure to do this series, and I hope you have a good and restful and meditative holiday season as well. Thanks, Anna. Caroline, hope you've enjoyed these classes. J.A. Menzies, sorry to hear you've got chronic pain. Yes, you do have an opportunity continuously to practice this loving kindness meditation. Yes, that loving kindness meditation, it really changes your, how you feel. It really makes an impact on your feeling of happiness, relaxation, calmness, and peace. So, yes, continue to do loving kindness meditation. Caroline, is the enlightenment class a good next step? Yes, if you feel, Caroline, that the Path to Enlightenment class, which is on at 4:00 on Sundays, is you can do it. It is a next step. It assumes that you've got the basic concepts of Tibetan Buddhism and you understand the terminology. You can do, if this is your first series of introductory classes, you can do another series, 1 or 2 series before going on to the Path to Enlightenment class, or you can give it a try. I believe the Path to Enlightenment class is going to start again from the beginning from next year, so it's actually a good opportunity to start that class at the beginning of the year, because it starts at the beginning of the book. So you might want to take that opportunity of starting from the beginning. If you continue to do your meditation on these concepts that we've been talking about, do some more reading, I think you might want to give that Path to Enlightenment class a try and see how you go. Okay, everyone. Take care and might see you again next year. Thanks for your attention.